Ek groet jou weer by Vroue van Uitnemendheid. Dankie dat jy ingeskakel het. Ek is opgewonde vir 2019 wat Vader vir ons gaan doen. Ek wil net vanoggend hierdie skrifgie by jou los voor ons begin. Jeremia 29 vers 11 en 12 in die lewende vertaling sê, dit is net ek wat weet wat my plan vir julle is, maar ek beplan voorspoed vir julle en nie teëspoed nie, sê ons Vader. Daarom is daar vir julle 'n goeie vooruitsig en 'n toekoms. Hy sê verder in vers 12, julle sal na my roep en ook by mekaar kom om vir my te bid en ek sal julle verhoor. Maak hierdie woord vanoggend in jou hart vas en sê, Vader, U het 'n belofte gemaak. Wanneer ek U aanroep, sal U hoor. Vandag kuier hier 'n besonderse vrou by my, Heidi. Sy kom van Springs af. Julle, en as jy hoor, toe sy geroep het wat Vader vir haar gedoen het, en sy was ook 'n vrou wat 'n storie het, maar haar storie eindig in 'n heerlikheid, 'n storie van seer, 'n storie van selfmoord, 'n storie van 'n pad wat sy gestap het, maar op die einde, toe sy haar hand in Jesus se plaas, toe verander haar hele lewe. Heidi, dit is vanoggend vir my so voorreg om jou by ons te verwelkom.
Thank you, Alma.
En ek is so bly dat jy hier is. Ek wil hê jy moet 'n bietjie vir ons kykers vertel, wie is Heidi?
Alma, I'm Heidi Snyman. My pa's a Ronoko poppy. My mom's biggest dream and her biggest nightmare. A mother of two amazing, amazing children. And almost a mother-in-law of an amazing daughter-in-law. 2 years back, I would have told you I was a career woman. And but today I'm going to tell you, ek is liewe Jesus se kind.
Wow, dis awesome. Dis
Sy meisie kind.
Ja. Heidi, jou storie begin op 18. Vertel ons bietjie, wat het gebeur?
I think I lived a very sheltered life. My dad wrapped me up in cotton wool, protected me, looked after me. But when you get to 18, you want to make your own decisions.
Yes.
You want to do your own thing. And I kind of like took my life in my hands, and I fell in love with a man that anything he said, I would believe.
Yes, yes.
And at the age of 19, I was married. At the age of 23, I was divorced. But in that time, things I wanted to forget, God has brought back to me to show me there was a reason for all of that.
Yes, yes.
And when I was in Standard 8, I started working for a retail company. And I enjoyed every minute of it. But as soon as I got married, life changed and things changed. And everything just started falling apart right from the minute I got married.
Heidi, terwyl in jou eerste huwelik raak jy betrokke in verkeerde gelowe. Kom ons gesels bietjie daaroor.
I think being so young and in a marriage, you get manipulated very quickly.
Yes.
And my ex-husband used to believe in spiritualism. And you know what, you do anything to investigate what is going on here because you think you're actually in a higher religion because now you're a spiritualist and you're better than other people and there's different things going on and people won't understand what you're doing. And the more my dad said to me, baby girl, this isn't right. What you're doing isn't right. I then started doing it behind his back. And we used to sit seance and we read teacups and tarot cards, and I based my life on if that tarot card said that, that's the way it was going to work out.
En jy begin eintlik 'n leuen glo.
Absolutely, because you absolutely start believing in this, and you start believing that God gave you this word. And at one stage, I just realized that this isn't right. It isn't, and I started to try and break away from what he was believing in, and at that stage, our marriage started falling apart. And I was only 21 then, a year and a half into my marriage. It looked like the end. And you naturally start thinking, what are other people going to say? What are other people going to think? You're only 21. What is going on here? And I thought, you know what, if I have a baby, it will fix this marriage.
Yes.
And I always wanted a baby. It was my biggest heart's desire. But I thought if I forced this, you know, it would make him happy and we'd be this happy family.
Yeah.
And I fell pregnant with Marco. And time came 2 weeks early. Marco was on the horizon. He was born, and oh my goodness, I was looking at a baby that just was different to what I expected.
Yes.
And it was a shock to me. And it was a hard labour. It was 24 hours of labour. And this baby just wanted to come, and when he came out, the little hands were different. And as soon as I saw my dad, after delivering this little boy, the only thing I could say to him was, sorry, Daddy, because I felt, how could I give birth to a little boy like this? How could I have done this to him? And how could I have done this to my dad? I've let them down. And you start living with this verwyte dat jy nie is ordentlik geboorte gaan gee aan 'n babatjie wat
in ons oë normaal is.
Yeah. And I tell you, my mum and dad were there to pick up the pieces, and I woke up the next morning and I still didn't want to see the baby. And my dad kept saying to me, oh, you must see how beautiful he is. You must see how cute he is. You must see how he's blowing little bubbles met sy spoegies. Hy is te cute. And afterwards, I just read the file. You know, the file that the doctors keep noting and the nurses keep noting. And they said, Mama verwyte die babietjie. And that was my wake-up call. And I said to them, no, bring this baby, I want to see him. And wow, he was beautiful. It was the most amazing little thing I'd ever seen. He was, and he still is, my Alice.
Yeah.
And the one nurse would say, this is wrong with him, and then he doesn't have an elbow, and this is wrong with him. And my mom came in and said, you know what? We've already made an appointment at a specialist. We're going to see somebody. He's going to be okay.
Amen. Awesome.
And with that, I've just learned to work with him. And you know what? He would sit and pick up pins with the little fingers that couldn't even open. He would sit and pick up pins and macaroni and all sorts of things. And whatever you gave him to do, he could do. And there I just realized that God's hand must be in this. As much as what I'm holding it against myself, God has given me the most precious gift over here. And yeah, him and I had this relationship where he was a year old when he went for his first operation. And then you'd start sleeping with splints that you've got to actually pull these little fingers open and put them in the splints at night and wrap them tight so that he couldn't move these hands, but they were stretched open so that he could work with these little hands. Woke up with a couple of blue eyes with the way he turned around, and for the first 8 years of his life, he went for physiotherapy about 3 times a week that my mom would take him. By then, my marriage had come to an end. Marco was 16 months old when my marriage came to an end, and I needed to start working. I needed to start a career and carry on working. And the company I worked for took me back after 3 years. From the date I left to the date I started was exactly 3 years, and I started my career. And my mom had this love relationship with this little boy, and my dad used to teach him how to play rugby, and we grew up with such a lekker time together.
So atmosfeer.
Ek sê vir jou, hy kon 'n 2 liter Coke bottle vol water skop wat jy nie kan dink nie.
That's amazing.
So things were at a disadvantage, other things were at a huge advantage. So you could just see God's hand in everything, but I don't think I really noticed, because I was feeling sorry for myself that, you know, how could this have happened to me? How could this have happened to my little boy? But never once did it stop Marco from doing anything. I used to say to him, Marky, go show the people your hands. And he used to go there and say, this is what my hankies like. And he didn't have a problem with it, never. I had the hang up, not him. And so we've just, you know, grown closer together, and operation after operation I'd be there for him, and God just worked with this little boy. But at the same time, every time we did an operation, we were making what God had given him, we were making weaker. And afterwards one doctor said to me, you know what, Heidi, you can't do this anymore. You have to stop somewhere. There is millimeters change, but you're not going to get more than this. This is what you're going to get. So if we carry on, we're just going to make these hands completely useless. So leave them where they are so that he can still use them the way they are.
Yeah.
And that's when we decided it's enough now. Marco can do everything. Marco can manipulate his hands into a position to get it done, where the doctors will tell you it's impossible for him to have the movements we've got. He'd get it done. And it never stopped him from doing anything.
Wow, dis awesome, hè?
Yeah, God has really been amazing with that child.
Maar Heidi, jou lewe was 'n rollercoaster na die egskeiding. Kom ons gesels 'n bietjie daaroor.
To me, it was a huge thing to be divorced. My mom and dad were married for, they're actually in February now, married for 49 years.
Wow.
And you just believe that they've got to have this happy marriage, and that because you don't believe that they've got to have, you see them have this happy marriage, and you realize that that's what you've got to have.
Yeah.
And that's all you want to have. And you did it for 3 years and it didn't work. So you feel like a failure.
En hy skuldgevoelens, jy weet, is verskriklik.
Absolutely. You feel like a failure all the time. So I dove into work. So much so that when I used to get home at night, Marco used to, in the mornings he used to look on his tummy for a kiss from me, and at night my mom used to wash it off. And he didn't know that I'd been at home because I was working to get on my feet again, to show the world that, you know what, if I can't make it in a marriage, I can make it in a career. And that's what I dove into. That's all I wanted to do. And after being at home for 6 years, I was able to now afford my own little place. I met my husband, fell head over heels in love, and we have this little girl, and she is just as amazing. And she doesn't see anything wrong with her brother, and they get on so well. There's a 9-year age gap between them, and they just fill each other up all the time. They can irritate each other, but you know what? We've got I've got kids that amaze me every day.
Yeah.
And but yeah, with this marriage came its challenges from the previous marriage. So you bring that into this marriage. You bring the hurt into the new marriage, even though you think you're over all of it, you're not.
And ja, want dit vat 'n tyd om oor 'n egskeiding te kom, nee.
It takes long, and you know what? I thought 6 years was enough. But if you don't deal with the hurts and the pain and get through all this, you just take it into the next marriage and you just mess it up. And I tell you, afterwards, you don't know why you're not happy. And then you feel maybe I should go and see a doctor, and he puts you on antidepressants, and you start coping on something that isn't real. You start working on something that isn't real, and you start functioning in a position that's not real. And you know what? Things just get more and more difficult every day. And you feel that your pills aren't strong enough, so you go back to your doctor and you ask him for more pills. And you go and see, you're between the psychologists and psychiatrists, and everybody says, and how does it make you feel? And every time they say to you, how does it make you feel, it just brings up that anger and that hurt, and it never addresses anything.
Hulle werk eintlik nie met die wortel nie. Hulle werk net met die vrugte.
Yeah. And it just gets worse and worse. And then you realize, no, I need a stronger pill again. And then you're not sleeping, so you need a sleeping pill. And then you're not, after you're sleeping, you're not waking up properly in the morning, so you need to go into Concerta. And then you're still not, and then you go into an antipsychotic. And yeah, then you just realize that things are just too much, and you start committing suicide. And it becomes a way of life every time, because you think, you know what, I just need to get out. I'm not good enough as a mother. I'm not good enough as a wife. I'm not good enough in my job. Let me just go. Let me just disappear. And depression kind of like just takes over. And the spirit of death comes and lies on top of you, and it just smothers you. And there just isn't a way out. It's impossible to think of anything else but taking your own life. And I think my husband used to walk on eggshells, because if he said something wrong, I used to disappear into my room, and when he came in there, I'd tried to commit suicide. I'd overdosed on tablets. And the first time, you know what, you're scared to do it, so you just do a few tablets thinking that it's enough, because you hear from people like, it just takes 8 pills and it's done. Isn't like that. Because 8 pills just gets everything zinging in your head, everything moving, throwing up. And you promise yourself right there, you're never going to do this again. You put your family through so much. Your husband feeds you water that you just throw up so that he can just get that stuff out of your system. You don't realize what you're doing to him. You don't realize what you're doing to your family, because it's not about
Die
them.
mense rondom jou, dis
It
verskriklik.
doesn't matter what you're doing to them, because you don't think of them. You just think about how much better they're going to be without you.
Wow.
And that's the only thing that pulls you, is how you're going to be better, how they're going to be better without you, how you're going to be better off not being in this world. The next morning, if you don't wake up in ICU or in hospital, you realize that, you know what, maybe you're okay. Maybe you can go on a stronger pill and you'll be okay. 2 months, 3 months, 4 months down the line, you're not okay. And something happens, there's a trigger. I still, up until today, don't know what that trigger really is. But there was a trigger that always used to go off, and that's when I used to snap. And you're putting these pills in your mouth, and you know you mustn't be doing it, and you're praying to God saying, please forgive me, but I can't do this anymore.
Maar Heidi, skus dat ek hier inkom. Dink jy nie dis 'n gees wat jou dryf nie? Dis iets buite jouself. Want ek het al gewonder, hoe kan dit so donker vir iemand lyk dat net die dood 'n uitkoms is?
Ek het nie daaraan daai tyd gedink
Dink jy nie
nie.
daaraan?
You don't know
Okay.
what it is, but you know that you're driven by something.
Wow.
Only now realize that it's the spirit of death that comes and
yeah.
whispers in your ear all the time.
Aligned
Now's a
in,
good time.
yes.
Now's a good
Wow.
time. They don't need you. They'll be better off without you. Other people can teach them more than what you can teach them. Other people are a better example than what you're a mother, because you're a failure. You're not a mother, you're a failure. And that just keeps breaking you down all the time. You're not a good wife. Look, you're on your second marriage and you can't even keep this together, because look how unhappy you make that person. Look what you're doing to that person. Look how you're breaking that person. And you just feel you just got to get out. And you know what? A lot of people have said, you know what, you're looking for attention. Let me tell you, you're not looking for attention. You just want out.
Wow.
And I think the biggest thing is, if you were looking for attention, you would have written all these little letters. You would have made sure that people got it in time. You know, that type of thing. Because if you're looking for attention, you wouldn't want to die. You just want out. You want to get out. There is such a thing, there's such an urgency to get out of this life, out of this head, out of this. And nobody can understand where you're sitting. And you don't even understand it. You can't explain it to somebody. You actually try and hide it, because you feel like an insult to everybody, and a failure to everybody, because you just can't do this. You portray yourself as the strong woman. I used to see myself being this jelly blob, getting into the car. And as I'm driving, this jelly blob is turning into the strong woman that goes to work, does a job, gets the job done, is powerful at work, an inspiration to everybody around her. You know, this real leader. And then you get back in your car and you hope that nobody notices that while you're driving, you're turning into this jelly blob. And you walk into the house as this total failure. This total nothing. And you can't wait for work the next morning so that you can just feel good enough.
Weer, jy kan amper sê jy voel weer in beheer.
Yeah. And the one morning I took my son to school and I thought, you know what, I'm okay. I can do this. I did it last night. you know, we've dealt with it, it's all out my system, I'm okay. And Marco got out at school, and I pulled away there and I knocked a guy off his bicycle. I didn't even see him, but I knocked him off his bicycle. And it was like, what have you done? Wake up, what have you done? And I got home and I said to my husband, this is it. I'm going to hospital, I'm going to deal with this. And I went in for 2 weeks, sleep therapy. A couple of weeks later, stronger pills, bigger doses, there we go again. And then one day I woke up in ICU and I think, why am I here? I mustn't be here. And I'm so cross with everybody around me. How did I even get here? Because I can't remember the night before. A couple of months later, I'm back in the same place and I'm doing it again.
Wow.
And it became a way of life afterwards that my husband didn't know what to do with me anymore. And you kind of like think it's his fault, you know, he's the trigger. He's the
blame shifting all the time.
Yeah, because it's not me. I wouldn't do something like it. It's you. And I kept blaming everything on him, that he's broken this marriage. And then one day you come to a realization that it's you. And then it's even worse because daai selfverwyte vat net groter oor. En ja, dit net so gesnowball en gesnowball en gesnowball.
Wow.
So ja.
Heidi, jy kan maar nie glo nie, ons tyd is verby.
Ag nee,
en ek wil nog luister. Maar weet jy wat, ek hoop dit het regtig vir jou iets beteken en as 'n mens so luister hoe Heidi in hierdie leuns van die vyand vasgevang was en dit amper haar lewe gekos het, wil ek jou vandag aanmoedig, as jy dalk daar sit, kontak haar. Haar nommer gaan onder op die skerm verskyn. Sy gaan jou bedien en moenie volgende week mis nie, mensies. Dan gaan julle hoor wat regtig gebeur het. Kyk, Jesus is amazing en hoe hy jou kan uitruk soos 'n brandhout uit die vuur uit. Maar ek gaan gou vir Heidi vra om vir ons te bid voor ons afsluit. Sal jy asseblief vir ons bid, Sissa? Dankie.
Dear Father God, I pray that you will clearly increase the understanding of our minds to understand just how great your love for us is and how much you want us to depend on you. That no matter how big a sinner we are or how worthless we feel to the world, we are precious to you. Lord, teach us that in your eyes, love is never absent. In your heart, forgiveness is never impossible. And in your embrace, no one is ever alone or forgotten. Thank you, Lord. Amen.
Dankie, Heidi. Dit was awesome. Ek groet jou tot volgende week. Moenie vergeet om in te skakel nie. Daar's nog wonderlike goed wat gaan gebeur met hierdie vroutjie. Ek sê vir julle toe ek haar getuienis gelees het, kon ek net jubel en juig oor ons Vader so awesome is en oor sy liefde vir ons so groot is. Totsiens.